Humanity is currently at a very crucial choice point regarding how we move forward with technology. There are several different timelines placed before us, and not all of them have the same optimal outcomes. There are what I would consider synthetic timelines and organic timelines. All of these different timelines contain technology, but it's whether it's in a beneficial or a detrimental manner that will determine the course of human evolution. So today I'm going to be talking about one of the major themes we will be experiencing moving forward from here on out in the Age of Aquarius, which is the shadow side of technology. And at the end of this video, I will share with you one of the most beneficial sources of technology that will be our friend moving forward. Like many things, technology in and of itself is neutral. It's how this force is welded and the intention behind it that determines whether it's of a positive orientation or a negative orientation towards humanity. The way that technology is currently being presented to us, it's being presented as though it's the next step in how human evolution will progress and how we will evolve. Now that can be the case, but not with the technology that we are currently revering. In fact, the technology that we are currently revering is actually super detrimental to the progression of human consciousness, because what it's actually doing is a bait and switch. We're being made to believe that these technological advances are helping us, when in reality, they're suppressing the actually optimal technology that would benefit humanity and would put us on what I call organic timelines. Organic timelines are when our consciousness and technology are used in synergy with one another. They have such a beneficial harmony between the two that technology helps humanity's consciousness evolve. And then at a certain point, technology is in so much harmony with our consciousness and has helped us organically evolve to the point where technology shifts. It integrates, so to speak, into our consciousness, where it's no longer required in the same manner that it's used and that we know it as now. It would be such a vast difference with how these timelines appear that on one timeline you have technology that's indiscriminately blasting the cells of your body, and then another that is regenerating, harmonizing, and creating a coherency so thoroughly within the body-mind-spirit complex that there's resolution that naturally occurs as a byproduct of this coherency. But if we don't know the full potential, the optimal expression of technology, then we will always settle for a cheap counterfeit, a cheap imitation of technology, and we will revere that instead and even praise it for being so progressive, when in actuality, it would be no different of a scenario than if somebody bashed a person's kneecap and then handed them a wheelchair. They wouldn't even need the wheelchair if the person hadn't bashed their kneecap in the first place. And that's the relationship that we currently have with the positive technology that we are experiencing. It's masquerading as positive, when in reality, there is so much suppressed technology that actually would be optimal for humanity and would help us lead to the organic timelines. But before we can do any of that, we need to cultivate discernment regarding technology. We need to be able to identify its positive expressions and its very detrimental expressions. We need to be able to identify when technology is truly benefiting humanity's consciousness and helping us progress, and when it is actually making the spirit a trophy. The difference between these two states of benefiting and atrophying our consciousness are not always going to be clear-cut and dry, especially because it has to do with how we are using technology. Some forms of this technology are even marketed to us as cutting edge because the collective's paradigm then gets conditioned into a paradigm where this is what we actually believe is cutting edge. And this is what the paradigm we believe is what evolution is. And that's exactly what would lead us into timelines that are pretending to be organic timelines and pretending to benefit human consciousness, when in actuality, what they're doing is leading our consciousness into degeneration and a state of entropy. When we are in a state of entropy, what's happening is our spirit, the body-mind complex, and our spirit are becoming atrophied. This has been known in Gnostic terminology as having our divine spark taken from us. The atrophy of our body-mind, or the extinguishing of our divine spark, our spirit, is essentially both depicting a loss of essence, and this loss of essence disperses our consciousness. It does not create coherency, it creates discoherency. And by doing so, it creates spiritual amnesia. And being in this state will become so far removed and disconnected from their divinity that they will only know how to source energy from secondhand sources, which means they will only know how to gain energy from distorted forms of abuse of power, or they will thoroughly fragment into oblivion. There is no way to be in right relationship with consciousness if we are in a masters and slave paradigm, where we're either taking power or energy in very distorted ways because we don't know how to source energy in a synergistic and harmonious way, or we will fall under the slave end of that same paradigm, where we are being extracted from in very distorted and unharmonious ways. So either way, there's a strong feeding dynamic that goes on here in an abusive manner. And all this while, technology will avail itself and continue to avail itself as being more productive, beneficial, and progressive. So it's truly up to us to be able to become aware and discerning of what technology truly is beneficial, or what technology we can use in a beneficial way, even if there's a detrimental side to it, versus what technology is extraordinarily cunning and harmful to humanity's creative evolution. A great way to gauge genuine human evolution and consciousness is to know that anytime our technology surpasses human consciousness, that's when we fall out of balance. The scales tip, and in doing so, technology cannot help but become a destructive force to consciousness. Because at that point, we have lost contact with the deeper truth, which is that sentience and consciousness must always evolve hand in hand. And when they don't, they become out of balance and degenerative. We need to have technology that is based in care, that is based in sentience, because in doing so, that's how our consciousness evolves holistically. Instead of amputating entire aspects of our being and facets of our consciousness, and then marveling at that and calling that progress, you can become a master in the realm of tech and scientific advances and be completely cut off from your heart center. So evolution doesn't always mean that there's an advanced progression just in one dimension. What we're looking at is the holistic progression in all of our dimensions and aspects of being. So if we're conditioned enough into a paradigm where we believe that transhumanism is actually beneficial to humanity, we will have completely missed the mark and have not understood the more magical ways that consciousness can manifest. Consciousness can manifest as us being able to regenerate our body through sound, regenerate our body through light. There are so many positive photonic-based technologies that we don't know anything about because they're actually the good stuff that would help us. If you believe that there needs to be a bunch of satellites in space projecting slow wave frequencies that are actually super detrimental to our organic biology, then we have completely missed the mark and don't realize that giant crystals can be generators that echo out a coherency into the ether and into space that would actually create any type of signaling that we are seeking to broadcast. There are countless ways that we mistake junk technology for progressive technology, and in doing so, we now become a part of the paradigm that is leading towards degenerative timelines. Now, the truth of the matter is that there's always going to be people that genuinely just don't care. They're going to view this type of organic consciousness timeline technology as being magical or woo-woo, or just scoff at it. To understand more about this soul group, you can watch my video on this topic titled "The 3 Different Types of Souls Inside This Matrix." But for the rest of us that have a deeper awareness into this reality that we're in, we'll understand that we're always given discernment and we're navigating a creative evolution, meaning that nothing is set in stone, and that our consciousness ultimately is what will determine the input that will create the output. And the output is determined on the quality of our consciousness. So it's all about self-awareness, because awareness is what creates that quality within us. And becoming more aware gives us more free will to navigate this creative evolution that we're in. The most beneficial technology that humanity has at this moment is also technology that has the potential to be welded in a negative way. However, its positive potential far exceeds its negative potential, and this is quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement needs to be understood as a living reality because it is our best friend when it comes to the evolution of consciousness right now. Quantum entanglement is what allows us to be able to understand that the entire way that reality interfaces within itself is actually coming from a non-local space. Now, all of this might sound like gibberish to you, so if you would like me to go into more detail specifically just about quantum entanglement, let me know in the comments and I will make its own video explaining all of the benefits of quantum entanglement and what that is. Understanding that at a deeper level of reality, everything is non-local creates a foundation for us to build our technology off of that is actually congruent and in harmony with consciousness. So knowing this is actually vital to be able to move forward into the organic consciousness timelines. In the journey of our creative evolution, we are navigating through synthetic and organic timelines. We can only properly navigate through them by being able to understand the benefits and the possibilities that exist for positive technology and how that helps us, how that actually assists humanity to be able to come to a point in our own evolution to where it integrates, and then we're able to shift the ocean through all of our coherency and heart resonancy into a purer manifestation of it. But we can't do any of this when humanity's consciousness is in such a discoherent and disempowered, even limited state. And that's what the detrimental technology does. It creates a paradigm where we're dependent and that we lose contact with our true power and the true power of our consciousness when it is in coherency with its environment. So these are also very pivotal lessons that we're learning within this age in order to get into harmony and in congruency with all of life here on Earth. So technology is a powerful lesson in how we create harmony with our external and internal environment. I hope that this has helped elevated your own intelligence. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakenings. See you next time.